Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to episode 14 of the Altered States Unplugged podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kyle Strubing. The other half of this dynamic duo is my life partner, my wife partner, JoJo Strubing. JoJo, baby, how we doing today?
We are excellent. I can't believe we are already on episode 14. I feel like we just started this podcast yesterday.
Yeah, this has been a good one. It's been able to kind of dig in on some different things and really hone in on some stuff that's going to make the experiences when you go, even float with us, float with someone else, just get more out of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. We talked about intention and stuff before, but it's good to know what the heck it is you're doing in that kind of different situation. I say different because I don't want to say weird. It's just unlike anything else, a lot of the things that we do at the store. So it's hopefully you guys are getting something out of it. I'm getting a lot out of it. I know I hear a lot of people talk about it in the store. So it's been good. It's been great.
Yeah. Our goal is always to bring as much value as possible.
Yeah.
And so the more ways we can do that, whether we're in your ear while you're driving or walking, we're here to help and educate and help you get the most out of not just your, services in store, but also your wellness routines in life. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. So since the holidays are right around the corner,
What?
I know it's often a time for celebration, but if we're being honest, it's typically one of the most stressful times of the year.
Yes.
So I know for me, it's when stress levels can skyrocket. You're talking about, family gatherings, budgeting for gifts, and all the to-do lists, and there's just a lot going on. So today we are going to give you 10 ways that you can ditch the holiday stress with some easy to use techniques for the holiday season.
Right. Yeah. So for me, I typically gear up like this is, I have worked into my fitness and not, maybe wellness. I would say wellness is year round all the time, but me for fitness, I've kind of peaked and I'm kind of gearing down a little bit. I'm not maybe necessarily lifting as heavy or anything like that, but I still am able to prioritize it. And you have to, because the whole idea is to not kind of fall off the wagon, right?
Yeah. That can happen very easily. So the more you can do to prepare, like you said, now, can help you in the long run when you get to this crazy busy season. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about some of these very practical tips here, starting with number 1, which I think you were already kind of getting to, which is really prioritizing the self-care. So whether it's, your fitness routine, your sessions like floating and sauna, or, just that 15-minute meditation in the morning, you really got to set aside the time. And that takes the preparation now to make sure that's happening then. So I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to that is planning it out, putting it on the calendar, and then sticking to it, right? So if I don't have it on the calendar, it's not happening.
Right. Yeah.
So that means, typically I want to do it every Sunday. I know I'm going to hit the sauna and cold plunge and my float, and that's going to happen every single Sunday. So whatever that looks like for you, make sure it's planned out.
Yeah, it's nice then too, because like for me, if like I know I'm going to pig out that night, I'm getting my steps in. I'm making sure I've saunaed. I'll hit a heavy lift, and then maybe that's not every time throughout the week, but I know it'll just allow me then, because I've burned more calories, right?
Yeah.
So it allows me to then consume more calories as opposed to, so I don't blow up during the holidays. And it can happen.
Yeah.
It can happen very easily. So if you get that in, you get that done, then it'd be almost like a treat, like you earned it.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. And one thing to mention, this is for my perfectionists that are like me out there. A lot of times I will try to overload way too much. And it's like, I forget this is supposed to be wellness and self-care. This isn't supposed to be add more things to my burnout and stress list.
Sure.
So, it doesn't have to look like every single day doing 5 different things. Take it easy on yourself and say, okay, I'm going to start, this holiday season with just 1 day a week. I'm going to take an hour to myself to do something, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or, don't overload your schedule with a to-do list of self-care items. They're defeating the purpose.
Well, then you'll be like me too, right? When you've been running around doing all types of different things, being at family events, Christmas parties, da 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 da, everything. And then I didn't do anything for myself that day. And we always talk about that empty cup, right? You got to put something in the cup so that you can pour it out for all the other people. And during the holidays, this really resonates because there's just so much other stuff to do.
Oh, so much, so much. Yes. So that leads us to number 2, which is setting boundaries. So holiday gatherings can be so overwhelming. I talk to so many people, and I love it because people come to the store and they kind of feel like they can vent because we don't know their families and we don't know their friends. So they can kind of like, oh God, I got to go see my step family, or I got to go, see the in-laws, or I got to go see this. And they can really like let it all out. But it's important to remember that it is okay to say no sometimes.
The power of no. The power of saying no. Not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Or it's also okay to, you don't have to go all in. Do you have to do the whole family weekend? Maybe you just do the family a couple hours, right? Where are your boundaries? Where do they lie? And so, coming up with those now. Like, what are your boundaries going to look like for family coming into town? Do you want them to stay with you? Do you not want them to stay with you? Thinking about those things ahead of time for me is key, because then all of a sudden you get into a situation and you're like, how did I get here? And it was like, I didn't even know what my boundaries were. So, obviously I couldn't hold myself to them because I didn't think about them ahead of time. So think about it ahead of time, before...
It really speaks towards, sorry to cut you off there, but it really speaks towards kind of the first one of prioritizing self-care, but prioritize what's important there too, right? If there's that epic Christmas party that you love going, hell yeah, that's your top one, right? But maybe that other with a distant relative isn't as, you have to kind of be selfish here and prioritize it. And that's okay because it's, it's yourself.
Yeah, I know you get like the kids and the schools, and I don't know how people with kids do it. No. I don't. I mean, it's insane. There's so many things. So, maybe prioritizing. Okay, you're going to get to do 2 or 3 events this year instead of the 10. But yeah,
and then you'll even enjoy the ones that you're there for. You'll be able to be more You'll be able to be more present. Mm-hmm. You'll enjoy it. You'll look forward to it as opposed to just a task you gotta be at. I hate that.
Yeah.
We do that in my day-to-day. It's like, I had to race around and go see, our niece's volleyball game or something, which is something that should be enjoyable and fun and something that you're able to bond over. Whereas I'm just focused on, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here so I can get back to the next thing. And like, you just want to be it'll allow you to be a lot more mindful.
Yeah. Yeah. Which he loves those volleyball games.
I love them. I do.
Yeah. Kai, if you're listening to this.
Shout out. Yeah.
All right. Number 3 is creating a budget. I know for a lot of us, especially this year, things are getting more expensive than normal. We're spending a little more than usual. So really creating a budget so you don't fall into this financial stress trap. I know it's hard when you want to get all the gifts in the world. And I mean, I fall into this, like I love spoiling like the nieces and the nephews and buying lots of gifts and stuff, but set a budget and stick to it. So you're not so stressed out and you're not having that, regret down the road. It's something small and little, but it makes a huge impact on your stress levels.
Right. And you can get a lot done by going to, you get a lot of gifts at Pop Shelf and things like that.
Where do we go? 5 and Below.
5 and Below and get the nieces and nephews a bunch of stuff. They just want gifts. Yeah. They just want to open something. And a lot of times it's just the fact that, Uncle Kyle or Auntie JoJo sent them something, and it's great. It's really great. And the young ones just want to play with the packaging anyways. So it's funny.
Yeah. And maybe this year you focus more on those gatherings and those events are going to do things rather than, spending a ton on gifts. So just look at those things. I know that finances, for us, it's always a stress. For others, I see it. So thinking about it, budgeting and planning accordingly.
Right. Help. Right. And then number 4, plan ahead. Plan. The power of planning. A little preparation, easy for me to say, can go a long way in reducing stress, right? Making lists for gifts, meals, and events, and that can avoid that whole last minute panic, right? As opposed to, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I got to stop by here, and you end up stressing, you end up overspending, And then you end up it just once again just becomes a task and a chore when this should be something to reflect and bond over. It really should.
Yeah.
So
I always think about my mom with this because every single year I tell her, are you going to plan ahead this year with gifts? And she's like, yep, I'm on it. And lo and behold, she calls me on Christmas Eve. Is like, I am out Christmas shopping right now. I'm like,
yes.
Oh my goodness. How many times do I have to tell you to plan ahead and get this done so you're not running around the day before Christmas? So that reminds me, I need to, give a little reminder text. Maybe I should physically take her to go shopping this year.
Not a bad idea.
So she gets it done. But yes, planning ahead. Don't put yourself in a pickle like that. Get as much done ahead of time, like before even Thanksgiving hits. Store those gifts in the closet, or, if you've got an event to plan it ahead, whatever it is that you've got going on. I'm a big planner. I like to plan my month out at the beginning of the month, and then it's already there and done for me. So do that.
Yeah, and then you'll break it down. You'll use like planners and apps and stuff like that to schedule the specific tasks too for it. So it's one. I always say it's your favorite pastime is planning. So use those tools to help you break down things into manageable steps.
Yeah,
which gets into that whole the thing we use all the time. How do we eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time, right? And this is going to allow you to do that. And if you just focus on the tasks, then the whole goal will come together eventually in the end. So.
Yeah, my biggest advice for that is, when I have a plan, I have something coming up, I block off my calendar to prep for it. So if I know that we've got podcast episodes that I've got to do, I block off an hour to work on them. Or I know if I got, an event to plan, I block off the time on my calendar to plan that event, or else it never happens. So go block off your calendar for whatever it is that you need to accomplish, and then it will happen.
And you just keep checking off those boxes.
Yeah.
So moving on to number 5, this is kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is this: get outside and move. Being down in Texas, I really prioritize walking. People always ask me, what do you do for your fitness routine and this, that, and the other? And I would say, above all, it's just simply walking. It is so healthy for you. You get that, mind-nature connection, stuff like that. And for us now here in North Texas, this is the time to do it.
Feels excellent these days.
Fun. I don't want to drag myself around 5 miles on a trail in the middle of August. It's brutal. It's awful. And that's really going to help get you going, get those steps up. You'll burn calories. It's some of that zone 2 cardio, all that stuff, which I'm a huge, huge fan of. It doesn't need to be, these workouts and this mindful stuff, or this, prioritizing your wellness does not have to be some, hour-long boot camp where you're absolutely wasted. This should be a time of recovery and stuff like that. So just prioritizing steps and getting out, walking the dogs, maybe checking out a trail you've never been to before is just a good spot to kind of disconnect and then reconnect. Disconnect, I would say, with the hustle and bustle, but reconnect with the elements, right? And it doesn't have to be some 7-mile walk. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes. Maybe you rock a podcast. A lot of times I don't, just to get my thoughts going. And the benefits of simply walking it's great for the mind, body, and soul for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is typically the first thing that goes to the wayside when we get stressed, or when we have a bunch more events and things going on for the holidays. It's like, okay, I'm not going to walk today. But for your mental health, tell yourself it's a non-negotiable, right? Like this is like, I have to do this no matter what. And so I'm going to get up earlier or make the time for it, because I promise you, your mental health will benefit from it.
Yeah, and then back to physical, it's, you're going to be eating differently. You're going to be getting more sugar in you, stuff like that. And it's like you want to stay as close to your normal routine and prioritize those things. Like if I eat too much sugar, I don't sleep well the next night. But if I've gone out and I've walked in the morning and I get that, natural sunlight in your eyes, you're getting that circadian rhythm and stuff going. So it's just going to kind of counterbalance a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to number 6, which is practice gratitude. Gratitude has an insane impact on our stress levels. When stress starts to build, when we shift our focus, it can kind of reset our mindset. So I like to start my beginning of the day. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. It's part of my morning ritual. Some people will do that before they go to bed, reflect on the day. What are 3 things I'm grateful for from that day? But this is a really good time of year to focus in on that. I think it can keep us out of these ruts. Sometimes, a lot of emotions and things often come up around the holiday season for us, whether it's family or, something that you're just going through personally. And I find that if I sit in gratitude, it can really help in these tougher, more challenging times, just to focus on these things and get through them.
Yeah, it puts you in a good spot. That way you're not, because like she said, you can get out, like you're seeing people from your past, and it might trigger some traumas or something like that. And now you have, and of course the holidays are paired with the two biggest temptations, which is, there's always more food and there's always more alcohol, which are two things that we try to, obviously you got to eat, but we try to stay away from the alcohol as much as possible there. So it can you're just put in an environment and this will allow you to kind of set you up for success, but it also keep you present in the moment too, which is if I tell myself I'm grateful for these opportunities, whatever the case may be, I'm not then focused. I'm focused on the task at hand more, as opposed to everything that doesn't get done or needs to get done. So you actually get something out of that time that you're taking out.
Yeah. And I know that there can be a lot of comparison that goes on during this time of year. Like, I wish, you see these big grandiose gifts that like some people are able to purchase for their family, and maybe you aren't in a situation this year to do that. And, but it's so cheesy, but there's always going to be people less fortunate than you. Right. And so sitting in that gratitude for what you do have was important.
Yeah,
and
comparison is the thief of joy, they say. And so really just want to be, and if you come from a place of gratitude, this is all I've accomplished, and that's a huge step. It's good for you to reflect kind of towards the end of the year of what you've accomplished. I have to tell myself that all the time. It's just because you're so inundated with what needs to get done now and the stresses of what has to get done now that you don't even, you forget about what you did 3 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The next one is probably the most important one for me personally. This is one thing that I have to do before really any big event or time of year. And it's managing expectations. Like I did this big time with our wedding last year, really thinking about, okay, instead of having this unrealistic, this day is going to go perfect and nothing's going to go wrong, like really thinking about, okay, what's the worst thing that could go wrong? And what's the reality of this situation? The reality is, you know what? It might rain on my wedding day. It's the forecast. We got married in September. It was there, so that's the reality. So how are we going to handle that situation? Right. And like, this is kind of like that manifesting in visualization thing. We were talking about, but visualizing yourself enjoying that day, even if things do go wrong, and just knowing like, what, my mom and my dad may not get along that day, they're divorced but it's going to be okay. Right. And, for me, thinking about those things ahead of time, when I got there, it actually went way better than I even thought it was going to go. But if I would have thought it was going to be perfect, I would have been disappointed in some way. Sure. So, but manage your expectations. Know that, your Aunt Sally may, say something snarky at dinner, right? Like she does every year. So go ahead and just know that it's coming and decide that I'm not going to let it affect me this year, right? So just think about all those things. People are who they are. The reality is reality. But knowing what you're walking into and thinking about those tools ahead of time can make or break a great Christmas day or a tough one, right?
Well, you can, but you can't control what Aunt Sally's going to say. You can only control your reaction to it. Yeah. So if you know that that's going to happen, and then it happens and you get triggered by it, it's kind of on you, right? So arm yourself with that and know that's like, hey, look, this is coming, but I'm going to do me here. I'm going to listen. Hey, Aunt Sally, I get it.
Right.
Let's go do something else. And you can divert and you can be prepared for it and just not engage.
Yeah, you truly can decide how you are going to feel that day.
100%.
Like I truly believe that. Like, our feelings are real, but they're not always true. Right. So, take a look at, this, she pissed you off, but do
we
I
love
have
her.
to sit there and be mad all day? No.
Right. Don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it ruin your day.
That's an important one.
Yes. Moving on to number 8, and that's stay hydrated and eat mindfully, right? It's very easy to overindulge during the holidays. Very, very easy. There's too much sugar, too much alcohol. That can spike your stress and it can crash your energy levels, right? So you want to make sure with that you're getting the water in, that you're, that beforehand you've got all your vegetables in, right? You want to, I always prioritize, if I know I'm going to eat sugar, I try to get protein in me before, because that allows your body to break those sugars down.
Yeah.
We eat pretty dirty keto, I would say, with not too many carbs. But this is the freaking holidays. I'm going to eat grandma's cookies she's been making for 50 years. And I'm going to look forward to that. But in that, I've got my greens powder. I've had salad throughout the day. It's not a whole, it's a cheat meal, not a cheat
day
month.
Yeah.
Right. So really make sure you've done all that. And then just that, having that water, flushing your system out, all that good stuff, some fiber that can help you. That way you don't have that sugar crash. I almost feel hungover if we eat too much sugar the next day. I do.
Sure.
The two of us are like, we got headaches, we got this, my knees hurt. So make sure to prioritize that. I pull the lever of getting a pretty good amount of protein in first, and then trying to wait before I hit the carbohydrate, sugar, stuff like that. And that has helped me then in the next day for sure.
Yeah, I know it can be tough. Like I remember back when I was in the office, I mean, it was like the whole month of November and December is like potlucks and sweets and the never ending, sweet trap. So, you don't have to indulge every time, but, also just indulging at, lunch doesn't mean the whole day is ruined.
Right.
And that's important to
Which
remember.
is tough because your brain will start to crave more of that sugar. I notice like if I have something with a lot of sugar in it at, let's say, noon or something, or I get a donut in because Kinsley again got me. But I'll crave sugar the whole rest of the day. And it's like I can't, and you ride that kind of, those highs and lows, have that crash, and it's not good mentally or even physically for me. So if I'm making sure that everything is pretty lined up and I'm hitting, I'm hitting everything I need to leading up to it, then that allows me.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Number 9 is delegate tasks. You don't have to do it all.
She's saying this to me directly. This is a personal shot here. It's not one of my skills that I have is delegating tasks.
Pretty good at delegating to you.
Yes, but I don't delegate well in general. But no, like she said, you don't have to be the one doing everything. Delegate simple tasks to family members or friends so that they can share that load.
Yeah. The kids can help clean up a little more. Your spouse can, communicate like, hey, I'm doing a lot for the gift side. I'm prepping that. Maybe you can help out with this more. You
can wrap them or you can have the kids wrap them, make it fun, have an event out of the deal. It's just, you can't do it all.
Yeah. Or don't feel like you have to make the whole dinner this year. Maybe tell everybody you got to bring a dish this year.
Yes.
Or, we got to split up the workload and don't take it all on.
Right.
It's just not needed. And a lot of times you find people actually want to help if you give them the opportunity.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a sense of ownership then in the whole thing as opposed to just showing up for sure.
Yeah. It was really cute last year. Or it wasn't last year, a few years ago, my family started, instead of us all feeling overwhelmed to buy the whole family gifts because there's there's 7 siblings. And so it was like, okay, everybody, pick one person. And my siblings were younger when we started doing this, but they did a fabulous job picking out a really good gift for everyone. So, little things like that. I don't know. People get into it.
For sure. And then number 10, it's the last one, but certainly not the least important, I would say, out of this, is schedule downtime, right? We get the hustle and bustle going, and it's nonstop. So schedule downtime. For us, we try to do that on, I would say, Mondays typically are our down days because we're at the store Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but the holidays are a marathon, right?
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. So you got to keep your energy right. You're also, like I keep harping on, you're introducing more sugar, you're introducing more alcohol. We don't want to burn out on this bad boy. So take the time when you can. Rest is good. This is a good time of the year to rest.
Yeah.
People aren't doing jack, right? Like, that Thanksgiving week when we were in corporate, it was, granted Thanksgiving was on a Thursday, but nothing
got done.
Nothing got done. And I'd be beating my head against the wall. But then as I've gotten older, I've noticed to just kind of embrace it and also take that time to myself because everyone else is doing it,
Yeah.
So it's super important.
So schedule your float sessions now.
Schedule a float.
Schedule your sauna, your cold plunge. Get them in. Schedule it now. Now's the time.
No, but we do have a ton of tools to help you manage this and get through this, right?
Yeah.
You got that big meal going. A sauna would be great the next day to push all that crap out. A cold plunge could give you the energy that maybe you need midday after you've had 17 cookies. That can kind of push that, push through. If you're stressed out or you're looking for gift ideas or something like that, or trying to figure out how to, navigate a relationship with Uncle Sally or Aunt Sally, you might need to float about it, set that intention and figure out what you want out of that. So we have a ton of different things here for that. And shoot, all you got to do is go outside and walk a little bit too.
Yeah. Yep. Love it. All right. So that's 10 ways. A quick recap here.
Yes.
Number 1 is you got to prioritize the self-care. That kind of goes with, your downtime, but set the time aside and make it a priority this season. Say, it's a non-negotiable for me. Number 2 is setting those boundaries. When and where are you going to say no and feel empowered to do so?
For sure.
3 is create a budget. So you don't feel stressed out, that financial stress later. Stay hydrated and eat mindfully. I am on the wrong one. That was number 3 was create a budget. Number 4 is plan ahead. So the power of planning. So see what you can do to plan ahead to make your life a little easier. Number 5, get outside and move more. Go on those walks. It's a great, beautiful time of year. So make sure you're getting in that physical activity. Number 6, practice gratitude. Write it down. Think about it. Just remember to sit in that gratitude. 7, manage expectations. What's the reality of what is going to go on this holiday season and how are you going to respond in those situations? Number 8 is stay hydrated and eat mindfully. 9, delegate tasks. And 10, schedule that downtime so that you know it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And like I said before, we can help with this.
Yeah.
A little sauna session, maybe a cold plunge. And hey, if you're looking for gift ideas too, a great gift idea would be to, maybe you don't like your Aunt Sally nearly as much. Buy her a 10-pack of cold plunges, or if somebody, Uncle Leroy needs to relax and slow his roll a little bit, buy him a float session.
Yep.
We have all of that can be done online. You can print out a little thing, wrap it up and send it to him and, make Uncle Leroy my problem and I'll get him to relax in that float tank. So, come hell or high water. So we have a ton of stuff to help you guys navigate these holidays.
Health and wellness products. We've got some great new products in the store. So come check them out. Whether it's relaxing, better sleep, we got you covered.
We got you.
Yeah. So take some time to implement these things, and we hope that you have a stress-free holiday season. Come and see us so that we can help you make that happen.
Thanks, guys.